Oh, we're really punchy now.
I'm like food comed. I'm not even...
Ooh, well, luckily we're going to get to talk about Data, whom you love. Sweet. Hello and welcome to A Star to Steer Her By, a Star Trek podcast. This week we have finally made it to TNG.
Woo!
Woo! So we're here at TNG. We are discussing Encounter at Farpoint. This is episode 56.
What?
As usual, I am Ames. Joining me are...
I'm usually Caitlin.
I'm generally Jake.
God damn it, you people, I'm not good without a script.
You're actually really good without a script.
This is Chris.
You're good at talking. You're fine. I stutter over words and have, like, mental aphasia every so often, so we're good.
What's aphasia again?
Aphasia is where you can't use language
Me
temporarily.
too! Me too! I lose words
You know
all the
what
fucking time.
What I just did there.
I do that all the time, Ames.
Speaking of aphasia, let me try to talk about Next Generation to you folks.
Good luck.
So we're talking Encounter at Farpoint. It's our premiere of the Next Generation.
Triumphant return of Gene Roddenberry.
That's true, yeah. Until he eventually backs off and then dies.
Yikes.
As one does. So in Encounter at Farpoint, we meet all of the new people. We meet Captain Picard, who is about to captain the new Enterprise, the Enterprise D.
It's Galaxy class. Have you heard?
Is it?
Yes.
Oh.
I'm not sure if they mentioned it enough.
They may have. Actually, they didn't, because I didn't realize. So they're going to take their maiden voyage out to go to the station at Farpoint to do the thing that they do, which whatever that is, we'll get to. We go onto the bridge, we're trolling around, we meet Deanna Troi, who is the ship's counselor, we meet Data, who is a sexy robot, and out of nowhere pops up this cage in space controlled by Q, who is our new best friend in space, who's kind of an omnipotent being, very advanced race of critters who decides out of nowhere to just put humanity on trial and say, humanity is too fucking violent, you guys are a savage race, and can you stand up for yourselves and prove me wrong? Jean-Luc Picard decides, well, give us a test. If we pass your test, then maybe you'll leave us alone or whatever the fuck. And they say, okay, let's do that. So they keep going on their way to Farpoint, where there's going to be a test of some kind. We pick up Commander Will Riker, who is going to be the new first officer. We pick up Dr. Beverly Crusher and her obnoxious son Wesley. Who else am I missing? We meet Geordi LaForge.
You mentioned Yar.
Worf.
Oh yeah, Yar. Tasha Yar, the security chief. Worf is wharfing about, a half Klingon crewman who does things, and Geordi LaForge.
Not half Klingon.
Yeah.
Is he not half?
No, he's just Klingon.
Oh, why did I assume he was
B'Elanna
half?
Torres is half.
That's right, that might be it. So after we meet the entire component of the crew...
Oh, O'Brien. No, he's not O'Brien yet.
He's not not important yet.
Fair
But
enough.
he's there.
He's a con man now.
Hey. We get to Farpoint where we meet up with Groppler Zorn, who was our bandy host, who is showing off their new city, which got built in way less time than a city should actually have been built in. And everyone's wondering, this city's kind of weird. The fact that it just popped up means that something is afoot. I wonder what it is. Q pops up every so often to be like, have you guys figured out the test yet? You're gonna fail. Look how awesome I am. I'm Q.
Look at my bad haircut.
I like his haircut.
Nah.
So eventually they figure out, okay, something really weird is happening. Now a new ship has appeared in space and has started blasting the old city of the Bandy people on Farpoint. What's going on with this? We eventually determine by beaming people around into the new city and the ship that's beaming around in space. They figure out, oh shit, this is actually a life form, and the life form was injured and trapped on the planet. It created the city itself because it can transform energy into matter, so it just kind of built the city for them, and they've just had it enslaved and tortured? I don't even know this whole time. And it just wants to go back to its mate, which has been floating around in space and shooting people. The Enterprise frees the mate of the critters that were on the surface. They turn into big giant space jellyfish and fly away happy. Q admits that Picard passed the test, but oh, you're gonna see more of me in the future. What fun adventures we'll have, everyone! The
Star Trek.
end.
So we do have the return of the
theme?
theme from
I
the
do
motion
like this
picture in
theme.
Star Trek V. Although I guess at this point it wouldn't have been a return of the Star Trek V theme because
No, it's true.
this premiered before Star Trek V. But did you know that Gene Roddenberry actually wrote lyrics
Stop.
for the title? Just
Stop.
Yeah, he wrote lyrics. Do you want me to sing them?
Are you lying?
I know. I used to know this.
I'm so excited.
I hope
Yes.
I remember the
Please
lyrics
sing them.
because it's been a long time since I sang
Oh
them.
my god, please sing
It's gotta be better than Star Trek all over your face.
My
All right, Aaron, let me see if I can remember them. All right, shh. Everybody relax. Here we go. Star Trek The Next Generation. This is the Star Trek Next Generation. Captain Picard and Riker too. Geordi, Troy, Worf, Data, and Yar, Beverly, Crusher, and Wesley too. Miles O'Brien, Guinan, Rollerin, and Barkley. Q.
Oh, Jesus.
It's interesting that he wrote the lyrics with characters that we won't meet for several seasons.
Yeah, no, till well after he is dead and rotting
Yeah.
in space.
Yowza.
Ooh.
So did you? So
It's very cold in space.
did you co-write these with Roddenberry, or did you find
I give him
these
full
somewhere?
credit.
Well, that's nice of you.
Very, very generous of you, Jake.
I will have to. I know I mentioned this a while ago, but there was originally a different theme. I'll try to find the video where they
Oh,
played.
it's bad though.
It's
It's
terrible.
like
It is-
nautical and weird.
It's so generic.
47 ginger.
Yeah, it's like whenever they do like a parody of Star Trek,
Yeah,
and they
that-
can't use the actual.
That's
music,
what it kind of. Yeah, it sounds
they
like
like
a
use some like stock footage music of.
sounds science fiction-y.
Yeah.
sea shanty.
Hey, like our theme.
See, well, to be fair, ours at least was from a real composer.
Hey.
It's not like I went to like the YouTube generic music library.
Wow, way to throw shade
I mean, it
at.
kind of reminds me of like the Galaxy Quest theme from the movie we watched last week and talked about last week. Galaxy Quest, the parody film that we just talked about last week on the show. I guess I could reveal why this. I mean, I'm sure they figured out why this is a joke that I've repeated now in 3 consecutive episodes. Is that we actually watched Galaxy Quest like months ago.
Was it like August? It was.
Yeah.
It
It
was
was a
early
long time
August,
ago,
right?
and we recorded that then.
I think it's when we were still in the middle of the animated series.
Right, but we were pretending to.
Poorly.
I was
You know, Jake nailed it.
comically pretending
Yeah.
that it was happening in real time.
We got to watch it in a planetarium, though, which
that
was
was
fun.
fun. That was
It was
fun.
great.
But
All movies should be viewed in
That is
planetariums.
neither here
Here
nor
nor
there.
That is neither next nor generation.
Yes.
So, you guys happy we're on TNG?
I am, but
I was till I watched this.
but
You don't like Encounter at Farpoint?
I haven't seen it in a long time, but it is really uneven.
that's the thing about TNG, especially these early seasons. The first 2 seasons are gonna be rough. Yes, I mean not animated series rough by any stretch, but there's gonna be a few episodes that are just like, ugh. And there's gonna be a few episodes that are like, huh. And there's gonna be, but most episodes are just like,
Like, don't get me wrong, it wasn't awful by any stretch. It just felt like they had written, and this is maybe what happened, but it felt like they'd written 2 different episodes and kind of mushed them together to make this one.
I have a thing on that.
Oh, good.
I have a thing on that. So they assigned DC Fontana because they smartly took DC Fontana onto the writing crew for TNG. And they kept switching back and forth on whether this was going to be an hour-long episode, a 90-minute episode with just like a special at the beginning or end, or a full 2-hour episode. Finally, they settled on, okay, it's going to be a 90-minute episode. We're going to give it to DC Fontana because if it were going to be a 2-hour, she would have gotten a bonus, and they didn't want her getting that fucking bonus.
Fucking Paramount.
And when they decided, oh, well, we'll do 2 hours after she's written this 90-minute, they said Jean will write the frame story, which ended up being the Q story, which just kind of got inserted into the script, so that the two writers will have shared credit.
So it actually was 2 episodes mushed together.
Well, it was really just like Jean.
It was Jean inserting some extra stuff.
Which is probably though ultimately a good choice because it gave us the character Q.
That's true.
Who kind of becomes a backbone adversary for the series.
He's great. He's a lot like Trelane. I know we enjoyed Trelane.
Trelane.
He does show up at first with the wrong era. Although
I loved that. I loved that he showed up in like shit from what was it? It was like World War I or something.
No, he jumps to World War II, but he starts off as like a 17th century something.
He looks like fucking Shakespeare.
Although unlike Trelane, I think he was doing it on purpose.
Oh.
Like Trelane, well, he was doing it on purpose too, but his information was out of date because Q then went through that succession of more and more recent soldiers. Like he knew probably from the off that he was in the wrong era, but was playing it like he didn't know. But then he jumped to World War II, and then he jumped to the post-atomic horror soldier, and then eventually he's going to start making
that was
uniform.
fucked up and scary.
I liked that idea. I liked it because they see later the courtroom scene that's in the year 2079.
Yeah.
And what the people are like then, and how these soldiers are controlled by drugs.
Yeah.
The little drug things.
Weird. What the hell were they thinking our future was going to be like?
I mean...
Before we hit the utopia that is TNG, where no one has interpersonal problems.
Really bad. Really
we
bad.
that Bell Riot's coming up in a few years.
Yeah. But yeah, no, overall I just felt like it was weird the way it was sort of jumping between... Like, honestly, I feel like it would have done better if it had just gotten on with it, but...
On with what?
Just the story.
The Farpoint story.
Just in even the Q thing, because the problem was they would occasionally, like... It was a really bad balance, I felt like, between, like, introducing all these new things and also telling the story. Because like you said, Caitlin, you said, oh, man, they're just getting right into it. And they did. But then they kept stopping.
But then they were like, let's go shopping with Mrs. Crusher,
Well,
and let's go
wrong.
into the holodeck with Data.
And let's watch Riker and Troy be awkward on each other 15 times.
Well, no, right. The shopping...
Guys, is Troy an empath?
Well, in this episode, she's not just an empath; she's a psychic because she talks to Riker.
That's true with her mind.
Wait, does that not stay?
They do it like one more time, I think, with Mama Troy.
But they're related, so...
She sounded so fucking robotic. Do you remember what I taught you?
How do you feel?
Well,
How
also,
do you feel?
Troy is only half Beta Z too.
There's why I'm thinking of the half thing. That's probably what I was thinking.
Maybe.
And and Spock was half Vulcan, so... Have a lot of halves in the future.
Yeah. Well, the thing about the Beta Z bullshit is it's so dumb, and they should have just had a Vulcan character, because then they could have still had some of the psychic-y shit without having to make it. Because
yeah, but imagine a ship's counselor that's a Vulcan.
Your feelings are illogical.
yes,
That's great.
Just stop having
can
feelings.
We just talk about the ship's counselor, like
Why the
a
fuck
medical
is that bitch on the
personnel.
bridge?
Yeah, why does she get?
And why she's a senior officer?
Yeah, she gets a seat next to the captain and the first officer.
I feel like it's probably because they designed the set first and only afterwards went, oh, fuck. We can't just have an empty chair if, like, you got Picard in the middle, Riker off to the side, and then, like...
Why doesn't Yar sit there?
And let's talk about...
She's gonna be at the
usually
tactical
stands.
console.
We'll put the console in front of her.
Well, but then you'd have one with a console, one without.
Oh my fucking
There are
god!
little console there.
Give Riker a console just so we can order a coffee or something.
Console. There's a little console.
There's a little one, but there's not, like,
But, I gotta say, Roddenberry's women problems persist.
Yeah.
Because, let's talk about this.
Okay.
You get the fucking women... Okay, let's talk about the women on the show.
Okay.
In the pilot episode. You got Beverly Crusher, who loves shopping and fabric.
And being a mommy.
Being a mom. You got
And
Deanna
probably
Troy.
banging Jean-Luc, yeah.
Deanna Troy, who's
Something.
so emotional.
She starts crying.
So much emotion. And then you have Tasha Yar, who's the butchy security lady. That's the stereotype.
I'm half lesbian.
Is that like being
approve
half
this
Vulcan?
message. Yeah.
My point is, the three women are
Stereotypes.
Are just tropes.
Yeah, tropes, big time. Like you said,
and it's kind of a problem.
Yeah, you have the
still a
mom,
problem.
the mom, the femme, and the dom.
There you go.
It sounds like a really potentially very good or incredibly bad heist movie.
Ooh.
And honestly, it does not get... Like, that's my biggest criticism of this whole series, is that it doesn't get any better. Like, Deanna Troi...
What about Pulaski? When Pulaski shows up,
I mean,
she good?
no,
She's
she's
just fake
fine.
McCoy?
She's just fake McCoy. She's probably got a little more shit going on than Crusher. Is probably a better character than Crusher in terms of the writing and the stories that she's given, because Crusher really isn't given much at all ever. But she was such an unlikable character because she was a bitch to date all the time.
Oh,
Like they were trying to do a McCoy Spock relationship, but it didn't have the same charm.
So
she just came off like a jackass.
So she was the really bitchy professional woman who can't with men because feminism made her into a lesbian or something. Some trope like that.
Anyway.
Isn't that also a thing?
It is.
Yeah. But anyway, the point is the women problems for Roddenberry.
The women!
I mean, that's something that we'll get to with DS9, which is a post Roddenberry thing where they really solve that problem once and for all with some really good
by not
female
having
characters.
any women on the show.
No, just some really
Such
good
a bitch.
DS9, Deep Sausage Fest 9.
There's just some really good female characters, and there's Lita,
Oh, well, for now we've got
who's tits.
For now, we've got these characters.
Yeah, we have these characters.
I enjoy some of them. I know Caitlin and I fucking adore Data.
Oh, I love Data. He's so cute.
When I was a kid, I had a huge crush on Joy LaForge too.
He's really handsome. I
He's
forgot
lovely.
how good looking he was.
And he's
he probably still is.
brilliant
no offense.
and all of this stuff. And he's got the visor, which is very emblematic.
Plus, he
Because
wants
it's so
to...
easy as a kid to just take a hairband and scoop it
Oh,
over
yeah.
your face.
Yeah. I used to do that.
I definitely
Oh, who didn't do that?
stole my sister's headbands for that.
I even did it, and I didn't watch the show.
Yeah,
And plus, he does the Reading Rainbow. Who doesn't
Yeah.
love that shit?
Now,
that
does
man
the-
is amazing.
Does the fact that the visor causes him pain ever come up again, or did they decide, fuck it?
I think Crusher eventually tunes it so that it's less of a problem.
Because they probably realized they weren't fucking using it as a plot point anyway, so...
Yeah, I mean, when it's convenient to the plot, his visor will give him trouble.
Okay.
But otherwise, it's a fashion accessory.
It looks damn good in
Yeah, I
it.
was going to say, and a really good one at that.
Now he's a red shirt in this episode.
What is he usually?
Well, once he becomes the chief engineer, he becomes a yellow shirt.
Aha.
But that was an interesting choice that they made in this pilot, and for for a few episodes, I should say, of the first season, is making Geordi not the engineer, but the navigator.
Blind navigator. I love it.
Yeah, well, that was probably the joke.
Well,
Yeah.
is it a joke, or is it, showing that the different...
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that was what they were
also
trying to show,
useful?
is you can have someone who's disabled who is also the navigator of a spaceship.
Yeah, I read somewhere that it was David Gerald, the guy who wrote Tribbles and was also brought on to do writing stuff, that suggested having a person be like a handicapped character that they can work with in the future. And that Bob Justman suggested having an android and a Klingon in Starfleet.
Yeah.
And that was fun. You guys want to... Oh, these are funny. There's some really funny original character and character casting snippets that I found that are really fun. The original description of Troy from, a long time ago, quote, a four-breasted, oversexed hermaphrodite.
What the fuck?
Roddenberry wrote that.
Oh, I'm certain Roddenberry wrote that.
He probably drew a picture, too.
Oh, no.
And her uniform would have been a couple of bandanas.
Her uniform would have been penises wrapped around her body.
Yeah, and DC Fontana just said, no, that's stupid, don't do that. And that Wesley
Why
was
did it
supposed
be
to
a
be...
hermaphrodite specifically?
Who
What the
knows?
fuck is that about? That's not necessary. I mean, I'm not...
It
just seems in poor taste. That's...
Because Gene secretly really wanted to try getting on a hermaphrodite, so had to work in his fetish.
Alright, things have gotten weird. Let me tell you some more.
I mean, hermaphrodite's like a medical problem, right?
That's what I mean, yeah. It's like a condition that you're born with. It's not...
And it's
just
usually
seems-
corrected at birth, I think.
Well,
It
corrected
depends.
at birth. That's kind of a loaded... This is where the question of gender and what does all this shit mean kind of takes a weird turn, because back in the day, if they botched a circumcision, they would just...
Finish the job.
Yeah, and then they would raise the kid is like probably
You're a girl now.
Right, and that wouldn't work. So in terms of hermaphrodite,
How easy is it to
it
botch a circumcision?
probably? Well, I mean
You're
happen
cutting
as much-
around a little tiny penis.
Oh, that's true. And babies squirm and...
Yeah, I mean, I don't think
Doctors are often drunk.
I don't think it happened a lot,
McCoy.
but I mean, I think it happened to a non-trivial number of babies, and there were some pretty famous cases. I took Psych 101 like 14 years ago, so obviously I know lots about this, but they mentioned this.
You're
one
my
particular
authority
case.
on the subject, Caitlin.
But anyway, yeah. So, but as far as them correcting it, I don't think so. I don't know what they would like. How would you correct?
Well, I mean, correct. I mean, like often they would say, "Well, it looks like the male organ is more developed than the female organ, so we will surgically alter remove the female."
Would they do that?
I think that's what they did do. I don't know if that's common practice now, but
God, that's fucking awful.
I think
Can you
back in the
imagine?
day they would basically say, well, we have to pick one because it's weird to have a baby with both. And I
Right.
think that's what I think I might be making that up. You'd have to ask Jamie Lee Curtis.
Jesus Christ. Well, Chris will be cutting this entire
Oh, come on.
conversation
That's an
now.
old urban legend. It's untrue. It's demonstrably
I
untrue.
know. And now I want to actually do some research about...
Great, you can write an article. Go on, Ace.
Sweet.
I might.
Okay, I'll let Caitlin do that. Wesley was supposed to be a Yoda-ish midget.
That would have been so much better than what they
Wait,
got.
would he have still been Crusher's child
I
somehow?
don't know. That's unclear. He originally wanted Picard to be a Frenchman.
He is a Frenchman.
He is technically a...
Well,
But he
but
wanted to be
played by a
yeah.
Frenchman, and it made him more likely to cast Patrick Stewart as Data. I saw an interview with Brent Spiner that said he was originally going to be considered for Riker, and he
That would not have
asked
worked.
like, "Oh, what about this Data character? Can I try out for him?" And he tried out for Data, and then when they were talking about the part, he said, "So is Data like just a machine, or is he like becoming humanized?" And they said, no, he's just a machine. And Data said, okay, could he be the other one? And they're like, no. And he says, well, then I'm not going to accept the part. And they said, wait, we'll think about it. And luckily they did, because the character Data becomes very, very interesting.
You get a good Pinocchio story throughout the whole series.
That's true.
Yeah, like, I mean, how would you have... He wouldn't have been an interesting character if he'd never developed, if he had just
No.
been always a mechanical... Yeah, no, that's dumb.
Yeah. They also were originally looking to have a person of color cast in the role of Data.
I mean, he is yellow.
There's that, but still.
Not
He's
like
more
Chinese,
like copper
but, like,
burnished
Ooh.
or something. He's got
painted
like
his
a...
skin yellow.
Well, no, he's kind of like metallic looking. He's got like kind of a sheen.
I think as the series goes
I'd
on,
call
they
it
make
kinda
him
grayish.
They make him a little
grayish,
He
I would
becomes
say
a
that
little
too.
yellower, I think.
Oh, does he?
His eyes are yellow.
His eyes are great.
His
I love
eyes
his
are super cool. Also, Marina Sirtis, who plays Troy, and Denise Crosby, who plays Yar, were originally cast in each other's parts, and then they were flipped.
And
Sort of can't imagine it the other way
No,
around.
neither of those. I don't believe... I believe Denise Crosby can beat people up. I do not believe... wow, blanking. Other one.
Marina Sirtis.
Thank you, could.
Yeah, well, I can't believe either of them act because
Wow.
Ooh.
they're pretty weak.
See, I can't tell
Troy's
right
pretty
now.
bad.
I can't tell if it's because Troy is just a fucking stupid character, or if it's Marina, because I haven't seen Marina Sirtis act as anything else.
I don't think she's done much else.
I think she's in Gargoyles, and she's supposed to be good in that. Because
Now, does she
9/10
play?
of this cast is in Gargoyles.
Does she play like Desdemona?
I don't
Is she
remember.
Holy shit! Now I have to look that up as well.
I feel like they get the character locked down a little better as the series goes on, and she kind of grows into the role more. But
They had her on a...
I mean, first of all, that accent, and it's not. Whose decision was it for her to do this? Because she's English. The actress is English and has an English accent. She does not have a weird mystery space accent that she does not share with her mother, who we later meet.
Maybe she got it from her father, the Starfleet officer.
Right.
Why does he have a weird space accent?
Well, because he's from weird space.
Oh.
So like,
Because we don't know. I mean, maybe she does later, but she didn't say her father was human. She just said he was a Starfleet officer. He could have been any kind of humanoid species.
Vulcan, even.
Space jellyfish.
Yeah.
She was Demona in Gargoyles, by the way.
There we go.
You don't know what Mama Troy is into.
No, that's true.
Everything.
Yeah.
Yikes.
She bangs Odo. Not really. She wants to, though.
Who doesn't? You were saying once that they originally wanted Wesley to be Leslie, Jake.
Yeah, we talked about that ages ago.
Yeah.
It might have
I wonder if
been
that could have been better or worse. I don't really know.
Little girl crusher.
In a stupid sweater. God, his fucking sweaters. They only get worse, too.
I mean,
Well,
really...
Let's be fair. That's because Star Trek's never been great at civilian clothing. And
Except for McCoy's jackets. McCoy
Except
had
for
the
those,
best
yeah.
fucking
But
jackets.
aside from that, they've never been great at civilian clothing. And, since they just sort of take whatever the clothing of their era is and run with it, this was 1987.
Oh.
The mid-1980s was a fucking black hole of suck for fashion.
A lot of spandex.
Spandex, weird chunky sweatshirts. The 80s were by and large an aesthetic fucking nightmare.
No, please know that this is not the opinion of the entire
No,
podcast.
it's mostly me, but the 80s were just terrible.
Oh, I
clothing.
loved the 80s, but I mean, this is where we got the Cosby sweater for sure, and that's...
Yeah, it's fucking true. Yeah, no, his sweater is terrible. Although, segueing from that, I do have to say, and probably going to anger a lot of people with this one, but God, this ship. This Galaxy-class ship, they say it at least twice in the episode, it's class. But,
It's a long episode.
It's a classy
Oh
ship.
no, 2 times in 2 hours.
Well, see, the problem is they said it like twice in the space of 5 minutes, and at first, like, oh, how many times are you going to say this? Turns out they never said it again, but I was like, is this going to be a thing like fucking Troy?
And her empath.
Like,
I have all these feelings.
But
lots of feelings.
I am definitely not a fan of this ship design.
But no matter where you are on the ship, you can ask the wall
that
the direction.
Jesus.
Fortunately, that's a feature we never see again.
Good. I was kind of hoping because that was dumb.
The direction.
Much like Troy
Like there's
invading Riker's mind.
Oh, the walls will light up, guiding you to your destination.
She was a terrible fucking actress.
Yeah,
She
a lot
was
of the
so bad.
extras.
That's true. It took me about 5 seconds to go. Don't hurt yourself, whoever you are.
Walter.
We're definitely gonna have it not hurt yourself. It's gonna be like don't hurt yourself, Will.
But like they had this random guy at the con at one point. It wasn't O'Brien. It was some other fella, and the guy that gets frozen. And he was awful.
Torres or something?
Yeah, Torres was awful. The woman that told Riker how to use the magic wall was awful.
Troy's awful.
Troy's pretty bad.
Wesley is not great.
I mean, he's a child.
Yeah.
He's a child, and who wants children on a ship?
Not Picard.
No.
No, he specifically requests of Riker not to let him make an ass of himself in front of children. No, I don't know where to go from that.
It was
He
just
has a
Wesley is the
consistent
worst.
dislike of children throughout the series.
Especially Wesley.
Yeah, it was just
He warms up to Wesley.
It was just a stupid, heavy-handed way to make us understand this guy doesn't like kids, so that when Wesley pops onto the bridge, we can be like, "Oh, shenanigans are gonna happen."
Yeah, it still came off as there.
It's done terribly. A lot of the writing in this episode needed some work. I'm willing to bet that was a scene Gene wrote.
Like so, you wouldn't let your captain go into deathly danger. P.S. Don't let me do anything stupid in front of kids.
Anyway, before we got off course, I was saying I was admitting my dirty secret of really not liking this ship. I know, and I may have said this before. I don't think I did, but I know it doesn't matter in space. But the saucer is so huge, and the engineering section is so little, it just looks like it should be tipping over all the time. I don't like the beige rugs. The problem is, again, it's a function of having been made in the 80s, and all this stuff was very 80s, and it's mostly ugly. These uniforms, I cannot wait until we get rid of these uniforms.
The uniforms
in
aren't
season
part
3.
of the ship.
No, I know, I'm just thinking of all sorts of things. But yeah, in
Yeah.
season 3 we get much better uniforms.
I mean, yeah, the uniforms, and what I read previously is that not only did they look bad because they were spandex and very form-fitting, but that they were incredibly uncomfortable to wear because they were spandex, and they put a lot of strain on the actors' backs.
Oh, that's
At least it's not the balls.
Well, probably balls too. I mean, they're trying. The uniform's always trying to make you curl up, right?
That's true.
So, and just to not do that, it would take some energy that would eventually take its toll on the actors' backs, and then also spandex soaks up like sweat and odor, and like
feces.
You couldn't clean them enough to get the stink out.
Oh,
so
no!
Are
you kidding?
So they tended to smell bad.
Are you serious?
Oh no!
I've
That's
heard that
horrible.
before too. Yeah.
And they make Jean-Luc Picard look like he has an A cup. So
Yeah, so
really,
like,
it sounds
Weird
like a
cut.
So they weren't like these. Like the spandex
It's a net
uniforms
loss.
only last the first 2 seasons, and then.
So that's a long time to wear these uniforms.
Yeah.
It's a long time for your balls not to breathe.
But they eventually replace them with like nice wool 2-piece.
But we have the scant at least.
We do have the scant, the short skirt. uniform variation.
That can be worn with or without pants.
And we had a guy wearing one, like, right off the bat in this episode. Like, the first half of this episode, a dude walked by, and I was like, holy shit, that's great!
Yeah, they don't show up that often, but when they do,
I loved it.
The male scant.
I feel like, I mean, the problem was that they meant well, but it looked fucking terrible on it.
Yeah, but you know why? You know why he did it? Because he wanted his balls to be able to breathe.
That's
He
true.
was like, put me in one of those scants.
The other option is the fucking spandex bodysuit.
No, I again, I'm like, you want to have a gender neutral sort of skirt for everyone. That's great. Just the cut was terrible.
No, I thought he looked great.
Nah, it looked weird.
Oh, I liked it.
Again, like all these uniforms are just too close fitting on everybody that wears them, so it just
Yeah, but not
the
like,
line was all wrong.
but not like the motion picture close fitting. I couldn't tell what way anybody was dressing.
No, that's true, but still, I mean, if it's a bit chilly on the bridge, we'll know. You know, from Picard probably.
Yeah, so the uniforms are not quite right yet.
I wasn't a fan of the chairs on the bridge.
The chairs?
They were weird. They had like a big hole up the back.
Yeah, they're never gonna get rid of those. I think those persist even on the next Enterprise.
Yeah, I know Captain Picard eventually gets a new chair.
Oh, he does? Okay.
Nice.
It's a similar chair. I just think they changed like the console that he has, the little like armrests.
But yeah, I don't like. And this isn't an aesthetic bitching thing. This is a different bitching thing. I'm not crazy about the setup they have, where it's like he's got these weird flanking chairs. And then because of, I mean, it looks cool, the whole like raised part of the bridge, and it makes for some nice effects and shooting, but it's like, I feel like they've really minimized the position of Captain, visually, if not literally.
I mean, he's still the center.
Yeah, but it's like he's always got people next to him, he's lower than chunks of the crew, like, they've de-emphasized the importance, again, visually, if not literally, and I don't think it's a coincidence that they sort of de-emphasize this look when they get to the Enterprise E and other ships, with the exception of Voyager, where, God forbid, a woman gets her own proper chair. But we'll get to that with Voyager.
Well, I mean...
Then again, he does have his own office, which Kirk never had, so that helps.
They have two bridges. The battle
True.
bridge and this other bridge.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't think it's de-emphasizing the captain. I just think it's a more comfortable ship. You know, it's less of a military vessel than the previous.
Yeah, they have like one of the big things that they added for TNG was there are families on the ship now. There's children. There's people who live amongst each other.
To be a big mistake ultimately.
Well, Wesley's there, so yes.
I mean, I feel like in the course of this series, we see no less than 3 Galaxy-class ships destroyed.
Ooh.
Like blown up.
True.
Not just... I guess that's... So we see one there, and one... So not just in this series, across this and DS9.
Although I'd imagine with ones that they know they're sending into battle, maybe they evacuated the civilians
Well,
first.
there's an episode that's coming up, I think later this season, or maybe it's next season, called
Spoilers.
Contagion, where we lose a Galaxy ship. And not like as an accident, so presumably all hands.
Decker.
Yeah.
So, yeah, putting the children on the ship. Not sure about that.
Weird. It is something I feel like we may have mentioned this. It seemed like they were flirting with as an idea with the original series. Because in a couple of the early episodes, you do see people just kind of walking around in civilian clothing, but that stopped pretty fast.
I mean, it's also possible that you would have civilians on the ship doing jobs, maybe. Like science research and things like that.
Yeah, that actually... Good.
Well, also, though, if you were, like, third shift and you were just spending your day out and about on the ship, you wouldn't necessarily need to be in your uniform if you weren't on duty.
No, that's true.
I mean,
That's true.
I wouldn't think.
Yeah, but this one does explicitly have...
Yeah, it does have families with children.
Yeah, I always thought that would have been interesting, though, is like the fact that, you could theoretically have staff on a starship that aren't explicitly Starfleet. Like, the scientists could just be...
Scientists.
Yeah, but it's something that, for whatever reason, they've never really done. I mean, again, maybe here some of them are, but I feel like most of the time we're still... When it is necessary for the story, we see the civilians, but otherwise everybody's Starfleet.
Yeah.
What's the crew population supposed to be? Like 1,000 or
Over
something?
1,000,
people on board. Yeah, it's big.
So really, if you get yourself fucked, you just killed 1,000 people.
Yep.
Well, that's why the next important new feature of the Enterprise D is the saucer separation, which is very expensive to shoot, evidently. So they only do it like a handful of times. Even though, like, in the first episode, it's like, oh, wow, this is going to come up a lot. It doesn't come up that often.
No.
Well, I know they inserted it into this episode to pad it to make sure that it would hit 2 hours.
Yeah, well, it took a long time.
It did take a long time.
And then we manually backed it back in.
For some reason.
Really, we manually had Riker tell O'Brien how to back it back in.
Don't fuck it up, O'Brien.
Why? What was the point of that? That weird little test from Picard?
It's probably just that. It's probably just a test from Picard.
Yeah, this is his new
What if
first
he
officer.
didn't do it right? What if he crashed the...
Then he'd be blasted out of Finney's airlock.
Apparently.
But seriously, like, what
Finney Memorial Airlock.
you know you've got this weird alien super being chilling out, waiting to fuck with you. Now is not the time for this stuff, Jean-Luc.
Well, I mean, it's like I said, when they were in the middle of all this bullshit, he goes into Mrs. Crusher, Dr. Crusher, to be like, I just wanted to make sure you didn't think I was being a dick to your child.
Why is he Sean Connery?
Because that's the only one I've got. I've got nothing else.
Yeah, that scene really feels like it was supposed to be somewhere else in the episode. I don't know where exactly, but it did feel...
How about in the fucking, on the cutting room floor? Like,
Well, we're
why do
also
we
supposed
need
to
that?
understand that Picard and Beverly have a history as well.
And that
Ooh la la.
they... Yeah.
And that he murdered her husband.
So that they
Whoops,
could fuck.
Wait, is that... Did she... What?
No, he was... We'll find out a lot more about this later, but the short story is Jack Crusher was Picard's friend, and I want to say first officer. Mm-hmm. They were... I don't know if he's first. He was a ranking officer on Picard's previous command, the Stargazer, and Picard had to send him on a mission where he died.
Oh.
Oh no.
But he was friends. They were friends as well, so Picard took it hard, and Beverly doesn't really.
And then
she
Beverly-
says she doesn't blame him for it, but
But then Beverly took it hard?
she wants to.
Is it ever implied that Wesley might not be
No,
Jack's son?
No, it's never.
Okay.
That's never.
Because I don't know if anyone wants to actually take responsibility for Wesley.
Well,
That's why they're foisting him off on the dead, for sure. Definitely his kid, yeah.
Fucking Adric 2.0 here.
Oh, Adric might have been better. Hey, Adric at least died, okay? Like...
By way of explanation, for probably you two and possibly some folks listening, Adric was a Doctor Who companion in the 1980s. He showed up at the very, very end of Tom Baker's run, but is mostly a Peter Davison companion, the Fifth Doctor. And he's a similar sort of like...
Boy genius!
Yeah, and equally just sort of abrasive and annoying, and they killed him right the fuck off eventually.
Why haven't they done that to Wesley?
Yeah, I don't know, but they did eventually kill him. Although it was super awkward because they decided to kill him right before his contract was up. So, because of that, they actually had to include, like, in the next episode after he died, and then we created, like, an illusory version of him to try to confuse
Ghost
the
child.
people, and you could kind of tell the actor was just, like, not into it. It's like, you fuckers. You fired me, but before, it made me be in an episode because of my contract.
Yikes.
Wesley gets eventually shipped off to Starfleet
I can't
Academy.
fucking wait.
Oh, but the sausage separation, I'm going to say this earlier, is a really awkward music choice during the separation where they just played the theme
song
full blast, and it's like, this doesn't seem right here. It's kind of
like it was a super tense battle moment.
But now it's like big...
No, they're literally fucking parking, basically.
No, not that. When they were first separating, because that was a tenser moment, but that was wrong. The music wasn't tense. It was like triumphant and big, and you're just like, this doesn't make sense here. It's sort of like there's a moment in Dr. No where they hadn't quite worked out, when to appropriately use James Bond's theme. And amusingly, there's a scene where Bond literally is walking into his hotel. And they're just playing the music full, like, full brass, full everything.
He's gonna check into the hotel. He's got a room.
Like, literally, he stops, the music pauses. Any mail for me? No,
He's
Mr.
gonna
Bond.
tip
And then they
the
play the
porter.
music again. And it's just like,
See
that's what
if
this
he
felt
got
like. Was
any
like,
mail.
you're using the theme because you're like, it's the theme, but you're using it wrong.
Okay, so I brought out a little demonstration
talking
model.
About this.
What about what?
The ship.
We are talking about the ship because
Here's the ship.
Because
Ship is
saucer
back.
separation.
Your
All right,
ship
I want to
seems
talk
to
about saucer
Your
Your
separation.
ship seems to be a bobblehead.
So we have this demonstration model,
Brought to you by Polar Seltzer.
which is the Playmates.
I'm definitely not
Star
in the
Trek
picture,
Enterprise toy that makes funny noises when you press buttons. This is circa 1991 or 92 or so. I'd say it's a childhood toy of mine. Anyway, the point I wanted to make is the saucer separation is where the saucer section separates from the non-saucer section. But here's the problem with that. The idea is that you have all your civilians, all of your helpless innocents up in the saucer, and then you have the bottom part, which is the battle part. The battle bridges down here.
This is where phasers fire from.
So this is... But here's the problem with this.
It's also where the warp
This is
core
where the engines are.
Right.
So you have this saucer section that you've now detached, and you've left...
They still have thrusters, though.
They have impulse engines, and they have thrusters, but they're not getting... Like, if they're trying to escape in a battle situation...
Oh, you just left them
basically
for dead.
making them as sitting ducks.
This just became the fucking priority target for whoever your enemy is.
Plus they're the
Meanwhile,
big
the
and
battle
easy to hit.
bridge can be like, fuck it, let's turn tail and run. We get this whole warp core all to ourselves. Fuck those bozos.
That's not a great plan.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, just say that maybe the enemy doesn't target the dish for any reason, saucer for any reason, but then the battle section is destroyed and the enemy fucks off. There's like, well, here we are, 1 billion miles from everything with only impulse engines.
Well, they've got food to last them forever. They're fine.
Well, and they'd be able to send a signal.
No, I know. But I mean, just imagine, like, oh, good, we have to send a fucking... Because I'm sure at this point there aren't too many Galaxy-class ships yet. So it's like, shit, we gotta send, like, 30 Excelsiors to pick up all these people.
They could tow it back. They could just tractor beam it.
Yeah, I don't know. I have a theory. I have a sort of a personal theory that the Galaxy class ship is really a lemon at the end of the day. That because they get destroyed so easily, so easily. You know, the whole idea of keeping families on the ship, bad idea. Yeah. And you got to remember though that this is, in terms of Star Trek history, this is sort of the long peace era. Because you had the Klingon treaty at Khitomer, which basically ended that hostility and such. And so probably since then you've had relative peace. We know that there's a Cardassian war that happened shortly before this, but that doesn't sound like it was that big a deal. But it seems, there hasn't really been any other threats. The Romulans have pretty much stayed on their side of their neutral zone. Klingons aren't a problem now because they're a friend. Cardassians are a little rinky-dink outfit.
But we are really worried about these Ferengi.
Oh,
I love the Ferengi.
The Ferengi. Yeah, that's. I think I read in an interview with Will Wheaton years ago about how when TNG started, like the Ferengi were going to be the main foes, and we'll see several times in the first season they are set up as the bad guys. There's just several episodes where like they're supposed to be so scary, but they look so ridiculous because they're like little frogmen.
Well, and that's because even in this one, like I forgot that they really do try to establish them even now. Where when Starfleet's asking too many probing questions about how they built their base, the guy's like, maybe we'll go offer our fancy new base to the Ferengi. And that's clearly
maybe they'll find you as delicious as the last they could.
Yeah, so like they've mentioned these people. They've implied they eat other sentient races. Like they really want, but knowing what we know of what they're going to be, it's just like nope.
Well, you want to know the retcon that I've heard, and I don't know if this is an official retcon or just something that somebody made up.
Okay.
But the retcon is that the Ferengi, as we know at this point, are a fairly isolated race. Like Picard didn't even know that he had fought a battle with them because he didn't know what they looked like. He didn't know what their ships were. They were basically a mysterious species that didn't have a lot of contact with the Federation. So the retcon as to why everyone seemed to be so afraid of the Ferengi and thought they ate people is that the leader of the Ferengi, Zek, started all of these rumors himself to make it so that the Ferengi were feared so that they could have an economic advantage over them in
That's
negotiations.
fucking perfect.
That's funny.
And once we get to DS9 and actually meet Zek, who's, spoiler alert, played by Wallace Shawn.
Oh my god, that's right!
Hilariously.
Who is Wallace?
Yeah,
Inconceivable!
Wonderful.
That's the voice. That's why. Okay,
Yeah,
that makes so much sense now.
He hilariously played by Wallace Shawn.
Yeah, that's in the book you're reading. What book are you reading right now? Buried something?
Oh, the buried age.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, because I saw that was mentioned on the internets in that book, and I'm like, oh, that's the book Jake is reading right now.
Oh, is that actually mentioned in the book?
Yeah, so if you haven't gotten there in the book yet, I apologize, I just spoiled the book you're in.
Maybe that's actually where I read that.
That would,
It's quite
that
possible.
would make sense, too.
That could be where I read it. But anyway, so, yeah, the Ferengi...
Yeah, it's funny seeing them try to set them up here.
And, like, obviously, and we'll see in a coming episode, might even be... Now, the next episode is Naked Now. Yes. But I think after that is The Last Outpost. I don't know. It's coming up soon. And that's where we really meet the Ferengi, and they're they carry these electric whips.
Yeah.
Ooh, kinky.
And they look... They're
Spock would be
supposed to be really dangerous, but they're hilarious because they're just like these little bald creatures.
Do they have big ears already?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they still look like Ferengi. They for some reason they have little tattoos on their heads, which don't show up in later iterations.
Yeah, you can definitely tell over the years. Like
those are augmented Ferengi, Jay.
I'm not even sure. I think Armin Shimmerman might play a Ferengi.
I read he did. I don't know where
in one of these episodes coming up.
I enjoy him.
But yeah, like...
He's going to play Quark in DS9, and you're going to love him as much as I do.
Oh yeah, I like Quark. I've seen some Quark.
I enjoy Quark thoroughly.
But yeah, Star Trek definitely realizes what they have on their hands when they cast Wallace Shawn as a Ferengi. They eventually cast Clint Howard as a Ferengi.
Nice. No. That's a good choice.
They fully lean into the Ferengi once they realize what they should be doing with them.
Yeah.
Except Rom. But we'll get to that in a couple
Rom.
years. Rom's characterization is always weird.
Yeah, so the episode itself, though, one of my notes was that courtroom scene sure does keep going.
It's a long scene.
Felt a little long. I mean, I got the point of it, but it was like...
There was so much of that guy banging that gong.
Oh, the
for like 15 minutes of banging a gong.
Next to the bailiff, who really just felt like an unfortunate racist caricature.
The gong guy just wanted everyone to get it on.
What an obscure reference.
Yar tried to kick someone's ass, and then it was very, very clear that they used a male stunts person.
For Yar?
For Yar.
Oops.
The freezing effect. Like, Q, you're all-powerful. Why do you have to have, like, jets of cold pop in? Just snap your fingers and they're frozen.
It's actually Chekhov going...
It's a blizzard, Captain. Alright, so I know what Caitlin's going to want to talk about next. Caitlin, we have our wonderful, wonderful send-off where Admiral McCoy joins us, and Caitlin audibly squeed and then burst into tears.
That's true, those things happen.
It's beautiful. It's so nice. I wish they did more that made him have a purpose on this ship other than making the fans fucking cream themselves.
He was there to inspect the new medical facilities.
Okay.
They did say that in a very easy to miss way.
I mean, but we should have seen it.
Here's what I'm going to say is that they probably worked it out with DeForest Kelley that he had like one afternoon between rounds of golf that he would stop by and shoot and put on all that makeup and like
not the best makeup.
And like the only other person they could get on set that day was Brent Spiner.
But the two of them together were perfect.
Oh, it was so good.
I mean, it was probably...
You don't have any pointy ears.
Well, it probably wasn't even between rounds of golf. It was probably between like shooting on Star Trek V.
That's true.
Probably like just day before he'd been on the Yosemite set. Next day he was going to be doing the turbo lift scene.
Getting his hug on with the Vulcan.
You know what I read about DeForest Kelley, which makes me very, very happy, is that so Gene offered him the walk-on role, fully expecting to be told, no, get the fuck away. But DeForest Kelley accepted and also refused any payment higher than like the normal SAG amount as a thank you to Gene Roddenberry for like years of a great show and shit.
Now, it's also fun to imagine if say, DeForest didn't want to do it, would he then have gone down the list? And is there a version somewhere in the multiverse where it's an old Chekhov? And who do they pair him with?
Literally the last choice.
Yar.
Wesley.
Literally last.
Oh, no.
So, you are a fun young one, huh? I was fun young one on my ship. Kids today still do Watusi?
Oh my god. Dear God. Here, and Chris is doing the Watusi.
I don't know what the Watusi was.
It's probably that. It's probably just
No,
that.
now you're just jerking dicks off into your face. That's not the Watusi.
That's the Watusi when you do this.
Oh, yeah, that probably is the Watusi. Actually. No, isn't that voguing?
I don't know, I just know they would call that the Batusi.
No, he calls it the
Great
Batusi.
radio. I'm sorry,
But
everyone.
I'm pretty sure that flying V's in front of your face thing
What
Isn't
the
that
fuck
isn't that
ever.
voting?
Who gives a fuck about fucking dances from 1,000 years ago?
Check off.
Oh, which one's the Macarena? Is that the one when you clap and you stick it up your ass?
I hope
the
so.
one.
It's my favorite.
Oh,
One thing I read is there was a book that explained later that McCoy's visit on the Enterprise was a gift from his wife, Yeoman Barrows, to which I say, bullshit, he's gotten a Tira. The Tira is great.
Wait a second, though. Barrows, that was the one
She was from Shore
on Shore
Leave,
Leave,
yeah.
who I said, now he's married to her. And now he's married to her. I win!
I read that book. It's not great, unfortunately. So we had the overlong court scene, the overlong explanation of how the holodeck works, and then way too much fucking Troy going, pain. But it's like, fuck you. Nimoy did it better.
Nimoy did do it better.
Like, she
Don't
is
hurt yourself,
just-
Walter.
Yeah, but she didn't
I
have
think
to
she's
reach her
our
hands
new...
out.
I mean, you know what? Non-controversial opinion. Based on this so far, Wally was better.
Walter or Koenig
Then Marina.
Yeah.
was a man with...
The thing is, like,
Depth
I was
and
reading.
warmth.
She was on a panel recently for I think the anniversary of TNG something.
Yeah, makes
Yeah,
sense.
it's actually
She's 20th
the-
anniversary
Yeah,
this
yeah.
year, right?
She's
30th.
She's funny as hell. Like I enjoy her as a person.
30, math. yeah.
But yeah, Troy as a character and the depiction of Troy, I am so far.
Yeah, that's it. Maybe it might not be her fault. It could just be the script.
It could
They're
be
not
the
giving her
script, it
much
could
to
be the
work
character.
with.
Doesn't
She hated.
seem
She
like a
fucking.
great actress, though.
She hated her costume so much.
Yeah.
Oh, good. So did I.
Yeah, I mean, it could just be like the material that she's been given here is not great. So we might be
The
judging
material,
her a
which
little
is
unfairly
spandex.
because the writing is bad right now.
Yeah.
They haven't figured out the character yet.
No.
Gene Roddenberry was in charge.
Yeah.
Well, she
that's-
didn't have enough tits.
And
She
didn't
was
have enough
supposed to
tits.
have 3 or 4.
She's supposed to have 3 or 4
They-
tits.
they-
and
they-
a
Does
dick.
that make her a better empath or no?
They haven't figured out the character yet because they're just like, well, it's you know, it's Decker and Ilea again, only not.
Yeah, well, yeah. Obviously, they were trying to make that Decker-Ilea
Thing
romance
happen
happen with Riker and her.
Yeah.
When really the romance was between the 2 jellyfish.
Yes.
The best romance that I've seen ever has been those 2 jellyfish.
One of you said this. We finally saw some dicks get touched on screen.
Touch tentacles.
Yeah. Although we do know that one of them was a girl because one of them was pink and one of them was blue.
What I liked, though, was the pink one was the one who came to the rescue.
And
the blue
fucking fired at the planet.
True, that is progressive, if at the same time regressive because of the whole color coding.
I also read that originally they were both blue, and I guess the remaster turned one pink and one blue.
Oh,
Well,
really?
yeah, because no homo, obviously.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Can't have 2 boy tentacle monsters touching.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be
That
surprised.
would just be unnatural.
I wouldn't be surprised, though, honestly, if the network got some angry letters in 87 being like, what's with these homosexual jellyfish? And it's like, what are you talking about? They're both blue, which means they're boys.
You've sold me queer giraffes.
Now, come on, Starfleet. How fucking stupid is Starfleet?
Pretty stupid.
This fucking bullshit dust ball of a planet with fucking little, you know, mud huts in their old city.
Which, frankly, legitimately did look like a spaghetti western set.
I thought it
Yeah.
looked like bedrock from the Flintstones.
Yeah, it really did. Oh, but they have this incredibly advanced space station that they built in like a fucking week.
That can make you instant apples.
Yes.
And magic cloth.
But even if you ignore the fact that you get whatever you wish for while you're there, which that's
Genie
cool.
jellyfish.
Just the fact that this is super suspicious, Starfleet.
Well, yeah, and that's part of their remit is to, like... I mean, the thing is, they don't really harp on it as much as they could. But part of their remit is to figure out what the hell's going
Like
on.
Because they
where
were too busy harping on it being a Galaxy-class ship with a fucking empath on it.
And a holodeck!
hey, Gobbler Zorn.
Close enough.
Where's our fucking where's your fucking construction crews? Like, who actually built this thing?
You don't like to leave.
Are they the fucking people that built your shitty wooden door?
Yeah, I mean, they
Don't
do...
ask, don't tell.
They are there to sort of partly make a deal, but also partly figure out how.
I feel like Starfleet would just be looking the other way on this one. Like, you know what? The facility is top notch. They were cheap to hire.
We got all the apples. We could. Would you like some Earth delicacies? You mean this fruit I could buy in any supermarket?
That's literally a fucking banana and a bunch of grapes.
And then it's
Also,
not
fuck
good
you.
enough
Yeah,
for
fuck
Riker.
you, Riker.
Oh, no apples. It's like, oh
Well,
yeah,
fuck all this great-looking fruit otherwise.
yeah, the apple, the most boring of the fruits.
and not only that, but
one
red
of the worst
delicious
episodes
apples.
of the original series.
Yeah, why do they still have Red Delicious
yeah,
in the
yeah.
24th century?
Yeah, they should have genetically engineered something better.
They were already genetically engineered.
Maybe they
better.
improved the Red Delicious.
Have you had the Ambrosia apple? The Ambrosia apple is great.
You know what I don't like
better
is
than
the
Red
apple
Delicious.
Skittles. Garbage.
Yeah, that's
Ruin
upsetting.
the batch.
Oh,
It's 'cause
hot takes.
it's not the original Skittles anymore.
Jake's hot takes.
Yeah, so
Hot takes.
yes.
So-
So
Takes.
warp continues to be
I
a
like hot
fucking
takes.
problem because
What's the problem?
warp speed.
Oh yeah.
Because
we're-
we're traveling at what 9.2 or
Yeah.
9.3 warp,
Something like that.
and Q's Jujubee of a ship is chasing after us at 9.9 or something. So I'm thinking it would have just passed them. It would have passed them, flown right by, and because it's going that much fucking
Almost
faster than you. What the
immediately.
fucking fuck?
Well, maybe.
Oh no.
Maybe, I'm making this up, but fuck it.
uh.
Maybe Q's fucking crystal ball ship takes longer to accelerate. So even though it was faster than they were at that point, it had started way further behind because its 0 to 60 wasn't as good. That's a shitty explanation, but it's literally all I've
Q's
got.
ship. I'm sure it's ultra powerful.
Is
Well,
it
that's the
even
thing.
really a ship?
Yeah.
Well,
or
yeah,
is it
I mean-
just him.
That's what it really comes down to. Q is just having some fun. Because if he wanted, again, he could just be on the bridge. Like, the chase in general is unnecessary. This is him having a bit of a
Well,
fuck
again,
about
they
the most
haven't really
dangerous game.
established Q at this point.
Except that he
either.
has the most dashing fucking costumes.
Like, for
Man
all we
looks
know,
good.
for all we know, at this point, they imagine that Q did have a ship.
Yeah,
He
it's
flew
true.
around on, and
But he had already just appeared on the bridge in the episode a couple times.
Yeah.
Like, but no, you're
With
right.
his fake Tholian web.
Yes.
And he
Yes.
traps some people in the fucking turbo.
You know what I did like, though, is clearly
That was funny.
Captain Picard has read up on the original series, or at least Kirk's adventures, because, like, one of the first things he says is something like, oh, yeah, another higher being that wants to act all judgy. Go fuck yourself.
Go
But
hang out with Trelane.
nicer than that. Well, you know, Trelane.
And it's basically the
The,
Metron all over
the
again.
Metron, like,
Because it's the go away, we don't want to do it. Not the Metron. What were the ones on Western Planet?
Oh, yeah, what was that?
The weird looking Grinch puppet. I
Yeah,
forget. Anyway.
that thing.
Yeah,
the
the-
Organians.
Yeah.
The ones that made Kirk in the Gorn fight. Like,
that was the Metron, wasn't it?
maybe, yeah.
We are the Metron.
But yeah, like, I do like that was a little sort of self-aware, like, oh, Jesus, another
Another
more
of these.
evolved being that thinks that makes them better than us. Fuck me, I've heard of you assholes. So I thought that was a nice little sort of
How do you do?
semi-self-aware touch.
I mean, there's so many omnipotent beings in this galaxy that it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah, and they're just like, what?
Like, that's what we're going to find out, is that human beings and corporeal life forms in general are basically like the vermin of the galaxy, and it's really just the omnipotent beings that are really running shit.
That seems right. I thought it was a good episode.
Yeah, it
I
was a
really
good
want to watch
episode.
more.
I
Like
mean, it's a good introduction to the series. You get a good, like, you meet all the characters, you meet all the main characters. I mean, it's obviously hasn't quite figured out certain things yet, like, what is Geordie LaForge's job going to be? It's almost like they forgot that they should have an engineer character.
Yeah, because there is no engineer right now.
No, I mean, like, there's a few, like, chief engineers that show up for an episode or two over the next few episodes.
A few.
Like,
They
just
share the job?
Oh yeah, like just different people that are like extras basically, or like featured guest.
Maybe their thought at the time, at first, had just been like, they were thinking of the original series where Scotty spent so much time down in engineering that it was almost like pointless emphasizing a chief engineer character. Maybe that had been their thought, but then they realized, actually, no, this really is dumb not having a regular chief engineer.
Yeah, because they're the person you have to call up to fix things like every fucking week.
And they kept having to sort of find excuses to have Scotty on the bridge to justify having Doohan on payroll. So.
Everyone, come to the bridge. I have an important thing to say.
Yeah, I feel like maybe, from what I remember, it's been years since I've seen any TNG, they do a better job of just popping down to engineering.
Yeah, there's a lot of scenes in TNG and engineering compared to the original series.
But that could be why at first they were just like, let's not have another Doohan situation.
Yeah. But I think they realized, oh wait, we actually do want that character, so
Yeah.
we already have the LaForge character that's not doing much as the navigator, so let's make him the chief engineer because that's a valid career.
I mean, hey, in the really, really not terrible Star Trek Into Darkness, Kirk arbitrarily makes Chekhov chief engineer for a while instead of promoting literally any of the other engineers on the ship.
This is true, but at least they showed that Chekhov was not in his element.
Yeah, no, he was in way over his head. I just wanted to make fun of that terrible movie.
But he also, he was really good with the transporter.
True. He is that Russian whiz kid. But yeah, did we have anything else major we wanted to say? I've kind of gone through all the notes I had taken.
Troy looked constipated the whole episode.
Yeah. Probably the costume.
Also her face.
Wow.
No, just not her face.
Oh, her expression.
She is pretty, but her expression the entire
pain
episode.
she was feeling was her wedgie from that uniform.
Oh no.
Yeah.
The wedge.
I am looking forward to watching this series grow into the series that I know so many people love. But I know it's going to be a little bit of a hike.
It will be. It's an uphill
I
battle.
understand people that really want you to get into shows like this. Every time people try to recommend me to watch Buffy, they're like, the first 3 seasons suck, but you should really watch Buffy. And it's like TNG. The first 2 seasons are pretty rough, but once you get going, it's great. The fuck? That's still 52 fuck me episodes I have to get through that suck.
Yeah. Yeah, but suck is a relative term, right? Because there's animated series suck, and then there's
the animated series blew. I don't know if I would say sucked. Something stronger.
And then there's things like this, which is just like, okay, yeah, this writing is a little rough. The acting is spotty.
Yeah, like this one, I feel like just if they'd moved some scenes around, made a few shorter, finessed it a little, it would have been great. Yeah. Just right now it feels as slapped together as it apparently was.
Yeah. I did like the jellyfish monsters.
Oh yeah, those were great.
I'll admit, I think this came up 1.5 million years ago when I was saying, every being we see is humanoid. Where's the creativity? And we finally see some jellyfish.
Yeah, that initially looked like the Jupiter 2.
I mean, it's bait, but here's the thing, right? This is for all intents and purposes, this is Devil in the Dark, right?
Kind of.
A little bit.
It's very similar.
What's Devil in the Dark?
That's
the
horror. Pain. Oh, wait.
And to explain names, the Jupiter 2 is the ship from Lost in Space.
What's Lost in Space?
It was a 1960s
Danger, Will Robinson. Danger.
Family science fiction series. Yeah.
What's a science fiction series?
Shut up.
Wow.
Yeah, so this has a lot of similarities to Devil in the Dark.
Yeah, that's true.
The exploited and feared creature, I guess.
Yeah, but then next week we're gonna have a literal remake.
Yeah, we can have that show. All right, folks, and that has been episode 56 of A Star to Steer Her By. What's next?
Facebook page.
Please like and subscribe to us on Facebook, Twitter, and Tumblr, where we're called SSHB Podcast.
On Facebook, we're just A Star to Steer Her By.
On Facebook, we're just A Star to Steer Her By.
This is going really well,
I think he
guys.
says something like, please be sure to like our Facebook page. We are A Star to Steer Her By. You can also find us on Twitter and Tumblr as SSHB Podcast. Really? No, I know you haven't.
I think we just take what
I'm gonna read.
Chris hasn't done it.
Do you want a list?
We should probably do a list, but let's start over. And this has been episode 56 of A Star to Steer Her By, the Star Trek podcast.
Woo!
If you like what you heard, please like and subscribe to us on Facebook. We are A Star to Steer Her By. Also find us on Twitter and Tumblr at SSHB Podcast. If you are an iTunes user, and even if you're not an iTunes user, find us, give us a rating, be honest, give us however many stars we've earned, and write us a little review, and we would really appreciate that. Also, send us your comments, questions, concerns, apples as necessary. Again, this has been A Star to Steer Her By. Next week, we will be talking about the next 2 episodes of The Next Generation, The Naked Now. Ooh.
Kinky.
Yes, quite. And Code of Honor, which also a little disturbing episode.
Kinky.
This has
Nothing
been
about
A
it.
Star to Steer Her By. I am always Jake, and...
This is Chris.
This is Ames.
This is always Caitlin.
What? No, it's always me! Damn it!
That's right, you're not last now.
We could go in a different order.
That's fine. Have a good one.
Be sure to tip your Dabo, girl.
That's
No, it's DS9.
It's DS9.
Damn it!
Yeah, we don't have the catchphrase
Be sure
yet.
to fuck Wesley's mother. Good
Oh,
night.
Jesus.
Don't
Be
kill-
sure to tip your groppler.
Oh, don't kill your first officer. Have you had the ambrosia apple? The ambrosia apple is great.
I have not had the ambrosia apple, but I am.
I like
like-
Fuji and Jazz. Those are
Pink
nice.
Lady.
Pink
Oh,
ladies.
Pink ladies
are my
are
great.
faves. I love those shits.
This has been Apple Corner.
Apple corner.
We haven't had a corner in a while. I guess we had tinfoil hat last week.
Write in with your favorite types of apple to our Facebook page.
Please don't. We don't care.